Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Does Mayor Bob plan to throw his hat in the ring? We'll find out today. Plus, TMWA got slammed pretty hard at the legislature. Today, they fight back. Ray Hagar has the rundown.
Thanks, Sam. Our first guest today is Reno Mayor Bob Cashell. Is he going to run for governor? And our second guest is Jeff Tissier from the Truckee Meadows Water Authority. He's got a fight on his hands with Reno Assemblywoman Heidi Gansert.
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Dan Mason, Anjeannette, Damon, and Barbara Vucanovich. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
Here at the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, water resources come from fresh, clean groundwater, approved by state permits. The water is pumped from wells to million-gallon storage tanks and then distributed to TRI companies. Another amenity is our investment in a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant. This disposal system converts waste to clean water for industrial applications. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevada.
When making your decision as where to play golf, consider the resort at Red Hawk. You know you have made the right choice the moment you arrive. The friendly staff welcomes you to our award-winning pro shop. You know you've made the right decision on the first tee. The Lakes course is in the best condition in years. You know you've made the right choice after you've played 18 holes. The resort at Red Hawk, the right choice.
Nevada Newsmakers is sponsored in part by the Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association.
As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and Social Security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, Ray Hagar and I get to talk to the mayor of Reno, Mayor Bob Cashell. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good to see you.
First off, we talked a few weeks ago where you were considering a run for governor. I was wondering how that stands now.
You know, Ray, it's exciting, and I'm thinking about it, but there's an awful lot of things you got to think about before you throw your hat.
But you are still...
I'm still toying with it and looking at it and studying and seeing what goes on. Had a lot of encouragement. A lot of people talked to me about it. But, you know, I'm also having a lot of fun being the mayor of the city of Reno. And I've got family here and friends. And so you got to really look at what you got to sacrifice and do.
Okay.
And you got to have that as Governor O'Callaghan used to say, you better have that fire in the belly, David, before you do it. So,
well, do you still have the fire?
Oh, the fire's in there. The fire's in there. But I've got some decisions to make, and we'll probably make them in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, let's ask the question then. Jim Gibbons, is obviously running for governor on the Republican side. You would have to run against him. It would be a very tough primary. What problems do you have with Jim Gibbons as governor?
Well, I don't have a problem with Jim Gibbons. I like Jim. I just think I could do a good job as governor of the state and pull people together and work out things and make things happen. And it's not about Jim Gibbons and Bob Cashell.
Well, the governor seems to think so, and not necessarily in terms of Bob Cashell, but in terms of anybody.
Well, that's the governor, that's his opinion, and I don't have any, you don't get in this game because of other people.
Now, Bob, we've heard if you do run for governor, you would get a strong endorsement from Oscar Goodman, the happiest mayor in the world who resides in Las Vegas. So you
if I decided to run for mayor and I got an endorsement by Oscar Goodman, that would be fantastic. I would love it. I like Oscar. We get along great, and I would be very flattered to get an endorsement by Oscar Goodman.
You don't drink as much gin as he does, do you?
I don't think Oscar drinks as much as people say he does either.
All right, let's change topics here. There are a ton of TV shows, national TV shows, about Las Vegas. One even includes Las Vegas as its title. There's a television show on Comedy Central that's become a big hit with a younger audience, and I would say 18 to 34 would be their base for that audience, and it's called Reno 911, and it's a spoof about a supposed Reno Sheriff's Department. Of course, it doesn't exist. We haven't done anything to support that. The town of Deadwood has done tremendous business because HBO has a show called Deadwood, and people are going to Deadwood to visit. I wish they'd called it Virginia City. Any thoughts that the RCVA should be getting behind promoting a show that actually has Reno in the name?
Well, I hear that it's a spoof. I've only seen it maybe once. It's a spoof.
It's a very silly show.
It is, and people talk about it and everything else. And, it's that old adage, spell the name right and pronounce it right and come see us. And if that 18 to 34-year-old bracket is people that we'd like to introduce to Reno, Nevada. And so it's not all bad. So, and if the RCVA should look at it and take part of it, and everybody should. If I still had a full-time business, if I still owned a place I used to, I might be playing off of it and having some fun with it.
Bob, let's talk about the legislature for 1 minute. Reno supposedly did very well in funding from the legislature. Could you go over maybe some of the victories that you got? Well,
I take my hat off to our local legislators, Senator Raggio, Townsend, Bernice Martin Matthews, Sheila Leslie. Those people really helped us. They helped us with the homeless shelter. We got $5 million. But I want to tell you something. This legislature, I saw something and felt out of the people out of Las Vegas. I didn't feel the north-south tension. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten it if they didn't want it. But they worked with us. They helped us. We got $1.2 million for the whitewater rafting course. We got the homeless court. We got the triage center. Sheila Leslie was able to push that through. And I went down the last night just to thank people. And I got a little cloudy about 1:15 in the morning, but they got the bill back in the new session, and we got it passed. But I'll tell you guys, don't ever play poker with Senator Raggio. On Saturday night, Senator's telling me, yep, it's dead, we can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. I said, Senator, you got to help me a little bit. And he said, well, we'll try to do something. I said, look, Bill, I'll take anything, just help me. Well, then I get a call from my staff down in Carson City at about 5 o'clock, and then hadn't heard the final results by 9, so I drove down and watched it and visited and talked with everybody down there. And really, I just went down to say thank you for the people that helped us.
Do you also get a feeling that the governor's race also played a part in that, with both Senator Titus and Speaker Perkins both being representatives of the entire state all of a sudden rather than their own districts?
Well, I was very pleased to get their support and their help that our legislators were able to do it. And if that's the reason, that's more power to them and more power to our city, because we got it and we're able to do some things. And but I really I did not feel. In fact, I told staff we should put a big ad in the Las Vegas papers thanking the legislators for not entering into north-south politics and stuff, and seeing what we really needed and what they did to help us. And I really appreciate it. Probably will, but we're looking at it.
Bob, I think that ad ought to go to the Reno Gazette-Journal and not the Las Vegas paper.
Well, I'll probably put one in the Reno Gazette just so I can thank everybody. You
don't want to get a north-south split.
No, don't want that in there because it wasn't. But the legislators on stuff that we were working on, the whole state, everybody pulled together and helped us, and that's what it takes. And without them, we couldn't have done it. And I'm just real happy they saw our need and they worked with us.
And that they had the money, and we're out of time.
Okay.
Thanks so much for being here, Mayor Bob. We'll welcome you back anytime. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
My family started this business 27 years ago. We work hard to serve our customers and our community.
but it's getting harder and harder to keep the doors open.
For example, our workers' comp is going through the roof. Isn't anyone on my side anymore?
The Retail Association of Nevada is. If you're a small business owner, we can cut your workers' comp by up to 50%, lobby for your interests, and keep you informed. Put us to work today.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org. The National Mining Association.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And Jeff Tissier joins us this morning here on Nevada Newsmakers. He is the Truckee Meadows Water Authority Manager of Financial and Administrative Services.
Good morning. Jeff, at the urging of Reno Assemblywoman Heidi Gansert, the legislature has funded an audit of the Truckee Meadows Water Authority. And she contends, number one, that you have budgeted over $500,000 for employee bonuses, $500,000 for employee raises, and another $500,000 for charitable contributions that all come out of your 88,000 ratepayers' payments to you. How do you respond to this? Is this a good use of our ratepayer money?
Well, first of all, we certainly do not have any opposition to Heidi Gansert's assembly bill. Obviously, it was signed, but we want to cooperate with that audit process. And we feel that it's a necessary thing to go through. We go through a number of audits in our organization, and it's just one of another audit to go through. With respect to the $500,000 in so-called bonuses, what we'd like to clarify is that when TMWA was formed, to bring the necessary personnel over Sierra Pacific, you had to have a similar and like compensation package. In other words, it's the exact same compensation package that you find over at Sierra Pacific, and this was necessary to get these people over to a new entity. And in that compensation package is a base pay portion, and then there's a pay for performance portion, which, these types of packages are debated widely. And if we meet our performance goals for the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, which are a number of them, then there's a pay for performance that's paid to all the employees of the organization.
And it was, what, $500,000 last year, and it's looking at $700,000.
Right, and we specifically outlined it in our budget document this year so everyone knows exactly what that amount is.
Is that why, number one, rates were increased in 2003, rates are expected to be increased again this year? Is that why rates are increased, to pay for employee bonuses and salary increases? And also why have a charitable organization?
Okay, and no, that's not the basis for the rate increases. That compensation package existed from day one. So yes, if there was something that we were adding on to the cost structure of TMWA, yeah, then it would have been something that could be debatable. What we're looking at right now is the board wants us to have a full compensation survey and to compare us to like utilities with similar operating complexities. And then we can decide whether this compensation package is appropriate, or do we come up with a different compensation package.
Tom Stevens, the former head of the PUC, was on the program, and he was talking about the fact that TMWA has a lot of money in the bank. you didn't have don't have a firm capital improvement program, you don't need a rate increase. In fact, you had a Citizens Advisory Committee, and they recommended that you not have a rate increase. TMWA started out asking for a 5.5% increase, but after the board questioned staff, it was reduced to 3% overall, and that gives around an 11% increase. His contention was that, as I say, the capital improvement program is a work in progress. For arsenic, which is one of the reasons that you needed the money, you'd get a low-cost loan from the state treasurer, and the rest could be done using reserves and maybe some bonding instead of a rate increase.
Well, with all due respect to Tom, the financial structure of TMWA is much more complex. We file our CIPs, our capital improvement plans, annually with the state of Nevada. They've been prepared annually and submitted on time. Yes, there's a lot of cash in TMWA, but, you know, when you're pulling in maybe $100 million this year and you're going to spend $126 million over the next year, that cash is going to be very much relied upon. And what we've done and what we're going to do here in the next 30 days is that I'm finishing a funding plan for the next 10 years, which also looks at not only what we use in reserve, but also what types of bond issuances we're going to look at over the next 10 years. And then we're going to take that to the rating agencies in the next 30 to 45 days. The rating agencies like Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch Ratings rate you financially and also on your managerial strengths and other metrics. And the idea here is to present TMWA as positively as possible to the bond market before you decide to issue bonds. Because notwithstanding the fact that we like to issue bonds, it's a question of whether the market is receptive to you to buy bonds, because we're going to be out there competing with 1,000 other municipalities in the country, plus the treasury auctions and everything else. And what you want to do is make sure that the rating agencies can rate you, appropriately and favorably. Then you go do your bond deals. The deal that we did with the state of Nevada's treasurer for the arsenic compliance project was a low-interest loan that was approved by the State Board of Financing Water Projects. We had worked on that for almost 4 years, and I applied for that loan 2 years ago. So there's always been an intent to bond. And so what I think what will happen here is over the next 45 days, there will be a much greater financial clarity for TMWA, which shows that rate increases that we would propose would be below or at the cost of inflation, and that we adequately fund this utility so that if financing opportunities come to TMWA, that we can get the lowest cost debt possible.
Can I ask you one last quick question here? Heidi Ganson on this program said that the increase in rates was unfairly put on flat rate users, that these would tend to be older and elderly people who had their homes for a long time, and they were getting a disproportionately higher shot than the rest of the ratepayers.
And she's right about the fact that the flat rate payers did get a larger allocation of the cost to run the water system. There are three basic costs for our water system. It's the operating and maintenance expenses of $35 million, debt service on the acquisition of TMWA of $30 million, and then we have a rehabilitation budget of $19 million a year, which is, supported by a facility plan and other spending. Yes, the flat rates did get a disproportionately higher allocation of that cost, but they also put the greatest demand on the system. And then other rate classes, such as the residential meter class, got an allocation of that total cost, but they put a lesser demand on the system than do the flat rate people.
Okay, and we are out of time. I thank you for being here and responding. The good news is that Mr. Stevens said that TMWA is doing an excellent job on the system, good water resource planning, good quality water, good employees.
Well, we appreciate his compliments.
Thanks for being here. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers with the Pundits after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers. For more than a decade, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has been helping the community embrace conservation as a way of life. That includes replacing more than 50 million square feet of grass with water-smart landscaping. During the worst drought on record, watering restrictions and tough landscaping codes have reduced the community's water use by billions of gallons, even as thousands of new residents were moving into Nevada. That's smart water management, and that's our promise to Nevada.
When making your decision as where to play golf, consider the resort at Red Hawk. You know you have made the right choice the moment you arrive. The friendly staff welcomes you to our award-winning pro shop. You know you've made the right decision on the first tee. The Lakes course is in the best condition in years. You know you've made the right choice after you've played 18 holes. The resort at Red Hawk, the right choice.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers with our Power Pundit panel today. Anjeannette Damon is here with Reno Gazette-Journal. She's their top political reporter. And Dan Mason, program director for KKOH Radio and News Talk 780. Get that in. And Barbara Vucanovich, former Congresswoman. Welcome to all of you. Anjeannette, you've had a couple of interesting days of stories here. First with the governor and then with Bill Raggio in today's Reno Gazette-Journal. And you can find these stories online at rgj.com if you'd like to look them up. They're very good stories. The governor had an incredible session, didn't he? I mean, he was not a lame duck at all.
No, both he and Bill Raggio actually had a pretty fantastic session. They came out very different than the Democrats, who were holding weekly press conferences to crow about their agenda, every step of the way. And the Republicans kind of sat back. They were quiet. They worked behind the scenes. And when they had to, they got out front and they got their agenda passed.
The one thing I noted in your articles was that Sheila Leslie came off as rather testy.
She had some interesting comments, yeah. I think they weren't exactly used to Governor Gwynn coming in and saying, if you don't do it my way on this, I'm going to veto your way on that. In past sessions, I think he tried to get things through, but his style isn't that confrontational usually, but he dug in for his rebate, and they weren't too thrilled with that.
The governor really played hardball at the end during the special session. What really struck me as amazing is that when he walked into the special session about 12:30 or 1, he saw State Treasurer Brian Krolicki, and he grabbed Brian Krolicki's arm and forced him back against the wall and pointed at him and said, "You've done a good job now, leave it alone." And he was talking about his stance on the Millennium Scholarship. And it really amazed me that the guy would actually manhandle the state treasurer in that way.
Surprised.
Were you surprised, Barbara?
I was very surprised. He's a very, not say mild, but he isn't that kind of a person. He's not confrontational, but I think Brian Krolicki just pushed the envelope just too far, and after all, I think the Millennium Scholarship was the governor's idea, and Brian kind of took it over, and I'm not sure that was quite the thing to do.
It was 3 in the morning, and tempers were raw. People were tired. Everybody was aggravated at each other, and for some reason, Brian Krolicki aggravates Assembly Democrats more than any other person in that building.
And the governor.
So they just had to get some of the personalities out of the negotiations and let some cooler heads.
I shouldn't have gone home early.
I'm surprised that the governor, in his tenure as our state CEO, hasn't hauled off and belted somebody right in the nose. And I'm thinking about Lonnie Hammergren. When the governor was elected for a second term, he had a victory celebration down in Las Vegas, and I thought he was going to go after Lonnie Hammergren right then, because Lonnie was kind of heckling him, and the governor didn't like that.
Is Lonnie going to run again for something?
I don't know.
We'll be there to cover it if he does. Dan, I wanted to turn our attention to John McCain. He was on Meet the Press yesterday. He was part of the Gang of 14 that helped take care of these judicial nominations by getting rid of the nuclear option. He's sure looking as though he has strong presidential aspirations. Do you think he can pull it off this time, where he couldn't running against President Bush?
No, I don't think he has a ghost of a chance.
Why?
He resembles a Democrat at times, and that's not a good thing.
You look at the people who vote for
he couldn't be Bob Dole. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but the people who vote for John McCain are either independent or Democrat, and he doesn't have a strong sense of loyalty with hardline Republicans. And I really don't think that he's going to be a good candidate.
I have to tell you, I served with John. John and I were elected at the same time in 1982. And, of course, the Democrats were in the majority. And we both wanted to get on the Interior Committee because we're both Westerners, and it was resource issues. And John, there was one seat, and the Democrats weren't going to make any changes. So John lobbied everybody in the world. I mean, he knew every admiral and everybody that you could think of, and he lobbied them all. And finally, the Democrats allowed us to have 2 seats. So we both got on the Interior Committee. And I sat next to John for 4 or 6 years. I can't remember because he went off to the Senate. But we were in the House, and we were very close, like this. And every time anything that would happen he didn't agree with, he just shook and scared the life out of me.
Well, you were the first person, and it became a national topic. You were the first person on a morning show with me to talk about John McCain's temper. He doesn't really show this on air.
He doesn't, but it's there.
I mean, he sure seems to make a lot of sense when he's talking on Meet the Press.
He's a very bright guy, but he's a very ambitious guy, and he really wants to be president. But I agree with you. I don't think
we'll see how he fares in the Republican primary. I think that's the danger. But, you know, people are starting to get tired, I think, of these divisions in red and blue America. And so it might be someone like John McCain, or, I don't know, someone on the Democrat side, if they can survive the party's primary, could be a successful candidate.
I think on the Republican side, a lot of people are starting to wonder who is going to step forward in the next couple of years. And there's some of us are a little concerned that nobody's going to.
It's going to be Jeb Bush, perhaps.
Oh, goody.
Oh.
Well, you know, the one thing that John McCain said in that interview yesterday is that almost everybody in the Senate aspires to be the president unless you were indicted or in chemical detox. Everybody else wants to be the president.
I think they got that from Richard Perkins.
That's an interesting shot there. You 5 seconds.
Wasn't everybody running for governor during legislature?
Oh, okay. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
High-tech companies demand perfect world amenities. They require clean, reliable power, state-of-the-art fiber optic communications, and clean water sources. In a perfect world, companies would have immediate access to rail and interstate freeways. There would be 4-lane expressways that shorten shipping times and provide convenient commute routes for valued employees. Well, the future is now, and it's here. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
South Reno's hotspot for food, fun, and friends is the Tamarack Junction. Play over 480 of the hottest slots and video poker games. Enjoy hot times and sizzling food specials at Sully's Sports Bar, Grill, and Nightclub. Watch your favorite game on one of our jumbo high-definition plasma TVs. Enjoy great food 24 hours a day in the dining car restaurant. Or sample the best hot and cold sandwiches in the Whistle Stop Deli. The Tamarack Junction is your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway. Yeah.
And coming up tomorrow?
Well, Sam, we have Cliff Chahavlis of the Hawthorne Army Depot. We got to save that for Nevada.
We'll see you tomorrow.